doing a budget doesn't mean I'm gonna follow a budget. What's up guys, welcome back to Wreckless Millennial Wednesdays, where we talk about how to get out of debt, how to budget, all things money really. So if you're new here, my name is Destiny and I upload videos every Wednesday and Sunday, so subscribe so you don't miss any more content from me. Today we are going to be talking about how to budget for beginners. I'm just going to give some tips and tricks from my own personal experience and from what other people have told me and from what my fiance has told me and everything. So I'm taking everybody's opinions into account whenever I give all these tips. I am not a financial advisor by any means. I am not a professional, but I have been through the First, I want to make this disclaimer before I even get started about budgeting, is that budgeting is not restrictive unless you make it restrictive. Look at it like this. You make the money, you make the budget. So you would be restricting yourself if you wrote down, oh, only $50 for spending this month. That would be a you problem. It wouldn't be a budget problem, it would be a you problem. So really change your mindset about budgeting if you hate it, because you are only restricting yourself by not understanding what your money needs or how you spend money or understanding your habits, and I'll get into that later into the video. But with that disclaimer given, let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is deciding why you want to budget. So for me personally, deciding why I want to budget was a no-brainer. I want to get out of debt. I need to see where my money's going. I need to know what money and what category, how much I owe here, how much I owe there. I need to know everything that's going in and out of my bank account because I'm trying to pay off debt. So any little extra monies I need to be finding and grabbing out of there to throw towards the debt. Maybe for somebody who doesn't have debt, they just want to save up for a down payment on something, or maybe they want to have enough money to invest every month. Just figure out why you want to budget. The next thing is to figure out how much you make. How much do you actually bring home? What hits your bank account in that direct deposit every 2 weeks or every month? You need to know the exact number before you put a pen to paper and try to start budgeting, because if you don't know how much money you make, you really just have no clue how much money you can spend. You need to know. And sometimes it's shocking to look at how much money you actually make versus how much money you spend. I know that from personal experience, because I would spend way more than I make. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm fine. No, I make $2,000 a month, I spend $4,000 a month. It was ridiculous. I have got a handle on it now, but yes. So just find out how much you actually bring home, your actual take home pay. So the next tip I have is to figure out who you owe. So you owe your rent, your light bill, your water bill, your subscriptions. You pay for groceries, you pay for clothing, you pay for cleaning supplies, I don't know. Figure it out, write it down, figure out who you owe. Not how much you owe, but just who and what are you paying. What are you paying for? What is that? What is that category? Just jot it all down. Okay, so before you find out how much you owe those people you just wrote down, you need to take a deep dive into your expenses and go through some bank statements, see how much flew out of your account for these certain expenses, see how much flew out for rent. What? See how much flew out for rent, see how much came out for lights, water, groceries, eating out, all that stuff. Figure out how much came out of your account and just jot those numbers down. If the numbers are the same every month, write that number down. If they're different, maybe write down 5 or 6 of them so you can figure out how much you owe in a ballpark. So for us, our water fluctuates between $20 and $40. So the highest it's ever been is 32 something. So I budgeted it right at $40 just because we've never been over that number. And we have always been below that number, so it's always better to budget more for something of that sort. So that's just an example of what I'm trying to get at whenever you write down 5 different payments for something that you may owe differently every month. After you've taken a deep dive into those expenses, you need to go back into a new piece of paper, write down all those categories, write them down however you want to write them down, and put prices next to each one. If you're still watching, go ahead and subscribe. That was supposed to be a wink. And then after you're done writing down all the prices, add them up. Add them up to see what your total comes to. It might surprise you because it might be more than your income. You need to really take these things into account, because if you're spending way more than you make, it's not good for anybody, even if you don't have any debt. Which I don't know how you wouldn't have debt if you're spending more than you make. Yeah, I don't know. All right, so after you get all the numbers squared away towards all the categories, I personally like to organize my categories. I have I think, I don't know. If you see my budget videos, you know how many categories I have, but I'm gonna attempt to explain right now. So I have my first category is like, it's like a little box, and I have in there, I have rent, groceries, water, lights, and Wi-Fi, and that's everything for like the house. And I just like to group that all together, and then I will change to a different color for my vehicle. So I have maintenance for Camille and gas for Camille. So those two are also in a category together. And then if I have like my licensure due, I'll put it in that category. Or if I have like something that I like absolutely have to pay that month, I'll put it in that category. And then the next category I have is my debt category. So I'll put my car payment there. I don't have a credit card payment anymore, thank God. But I would put my credit card payment there, my student loan payment there. Any other payment that I owe somebody that can be paid off, I'll put it in the bottom category, just because it's closest to what I have left over for the month. So I don't know, I just like to put it last. You can put anything wherever you want, but just categorize it however you feel. So after you got all that stuff squared away, you need to figure out what kind of budget you want. Do you want a zero-based budget, which is what I do, which means you give every dollar a job. You need to assign every dollar a job. Tell that dollar what it's gonna do when it hits your bank account. Don't wait till it hits your bank account to tell the dollar what it's gonna do. You know how much you get paid now, you checked. Go in there, write down how much is going where, and every dollar needs a job, so that whenever you calculate all of your money together, the balance will be zero. Or you could do 50, 30, 20, which is 50% needs, 30% wants, and 20% savings. So just pick a way to budget, either the zero-based budget or the 50, 30, 20, whichever one floats your boat. Or if you have another one that you researched and found, use that one. It's time to implement it now. All right, so I do want to dedicate a whole section of this video to groceries, because we all know, if we watch my videos, I struggle with groceries. So figure out how much on average each month you spend on groceries only. I would separate the two, groceries and eating out, just because I don't like to clump those together, because then I'll like overspend and it'll be a mess. So really separate those and really take the time to figure out how much you actually pay for food and how much you actually eat. At the end of the month, is the food still left over? Are you overbuying? Are you underbuying? Just figure out your sweet spot, because I had to. It took us a couple of months to figure out a sweet spot, but we have found it. Boop, 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 boop. The next thing I want to say is you can be as detailed as you want with your budget. Like, you can put whatever you want in there. If you want to put like pads, tampons, soap, toothpaste, all the stuff you need, if you want to just put that in the budget and write down the price beside it, by all means do it. If that is how detailed you need to be, go ahead. Like, just go ahead. But for me, I can group toiletries all together and just like add them up on the side and then write the big total in the budget. All right, and the last tip I have for you guys is to make budgeting a habit. So there's one thing to write down a budget, but there's a second thing to follow it. Following a budget is not easy. You can make it and be like, oh, okay, I got my budget written out. Now you have to go through life and actually follow those numbers. And you need to figure out a way to keep yourself accountable. So whether you use cash envelopes, which is you take out the money out of the bank and in cash, put it in an envelope, write on that envelope what it's for. So if you're taking out the money for groceries, which is what I need to do, take out the money for groceries, I take out the $200, put it in an envelope, write on the envelope groceries, and that'll be a check mark. And that'll be the only thing I can spend on groceries for the entire month. So I have my little $200 envelope, taking it to the store with me and spending just that $200 on it. Another way to hold yourself accountable is to automate your expenses. So you either set this up on the phone with your bank or online banking, and you go in and you figure out what money needs to come out immediately when you get your paycheck. And if you know what day you're gonna get paid on, you can set this up easily. You can set this up to have something go to savings. You can have it go to a separate account for rent, go to a separate account for bills, go to a separate account for groceries, or give you an alert telling you need to go to the bank to do the cash envelopes. And just really figure out what's going to keep you accountable, what's going to hold you to the budget, because it's not easy just saying you're going to do it and then try to implement it yourself. I know from past experience that doing a budget doesn't mean I'm gonna follow a budget. So I have to really hold myself accountable, and then tell maybe your significant other or a close friend that you're trying to budget, someone you know that's gonna stay on your butt about doing it. If you really want to get it done, tell somebody else. So just work on making it a habit for yourself and changing your ways, because if you've never budgeted before, honey, I'm not gonna tell you, sit here and be like, oh yes, you made the budget, it's easy, you're gonna follow it. No, because you're not. Like, that's what you're not gonna do. You're gonna write that budget, you're gonna hang it up somewhere, you're gonna be thinking about it for 3-4 days, and then the next week you're gonna be like, oh, just forget it. It's too difficult anyway. I'll just spend what I wanna spend, because that was me, and I definitely understand. So just maybe implement ways to, like, safeguard yourself, because you know you're gonna fail, and just set those up so that when you're trying to fail, it's kind of hard to, because you already set this stuff in place. You set the automatic payments up, you got the cash envelopes going. It's kind of hard to be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna fail now, because either you're out of money or the money has already been moved to a different account, so you can't spend it. All right, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Reckless Millennial Wednesdays. We are going to wrap up the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe already. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.